Hello and welcome to the Stronghold Digital Mining Daily Update. Today is Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024. Happy New Year. Okay, some really interesting news from Stronghold Digital Mining this morning. The company is purchasing more Bitcoin mining machines. Now, I want to differentiate the deal that's happening that's been announced today from the typical type of deal, which I think we've generally speaking heard from some other members of the publicly traded Bitcoin mining community. So, as compared to perhaps putting in a purchase order to acquire some, say, Bitmain S21s or something to that effect with a delivery in May of this year, right, May of 2024, after the halving, that's like one option. And then you have to kind of calculate the payback period starting in May. This deal, which was announced today, is for machines that will be delivered now in the month of January, and for which, based on current hash prices and current hash price trends, I think can have a relatively quick payback period. I think a lot depends on how soon we take delivery of these machines, how quickly they're plugged in, and how quickly we can get them hashing, so to speak. So what exactly are we acquiring? I'm doing this from memory, so please fact check me if I'm a little bit off here. So I believe 2,800 of these Bitcoin mining machines are going to be Bitmain S19K machines. I believe that they have a very, they're actually the most efficient of the batch that was announced insofar as immediate delivery. Then I believe there are 1,100 micro BT What's Miner M50s, which again, that's not. That's a machine that Stronghold has some familiarity with. We have quite a number of those in inventory. And then I believe the final component was for another 1,100 machines. These would be, I believe, Canaan A1346 machines. So, all put together, you've got 5,000 Bitcoin mining machines. I believe the average efficiency for all of those machines was announced to be like about 25 joules per terahash. That is a very good, that's a very good efficiency rate. Hey, look, I think that the price that was paid, right, it's about an $8.5 million investment, and you're getting what really amounts to, when you do the math, it's about $14 per terahash, right? That's the amount that we're essentially paying. I think that's a nice deal. And I think the sooner we can plug in those machines, the sooner we can get them hashing, the sooner we can be on the path to, achieving a return on investment. So where are these machines going to go, and what are they going to replace, and, what's kind of going on there? Because, we have a pretty, well filled in, data center infrastructure, both at Scrubgrass and Panther Creek. To the best of my understanding, there wasn't a whole lot of, room at the proverbial inn for additional Bitcoin mining machines. Now, there is a little bit of a nuance here because, right, the more efficient these machines become, well, you can fit more machines into the data center and actually achieve a higher hash rate. So I don't know that this is, hey, there are a couple open slots. We're going to fit 5,000 machines into those open slots. I don't think it's quite going to work out that way. Of the roughly 3 exahash of Bitcoin mining capacity that's directly owned by Stronghold Digital Mining, this purchase of about 600 petahash of, let's use the word newer Bitcoin mining machines represents about roughly a 20% of that 3 exahash. So you're essentially looking to replace about 20% of the fleet, right, with these newer machines, or potentially a smaller subset of the fleet, assuming that you can, physically speaking, right, if there are 5,000 new machines coming in, you can't magically put one machine into another machine, right? You need to have an open data center slot. So at a bare minimum, we need to have 5,000 open slots to fit this new equipment into. As to how much exahash is officially going to be swapped out, I think that's going to depend a little bit, and that's not really going to be perfectly knowable per se, absent there being a little bit more granularity insofar as like a news release by the company. But I think that it is safe to say, and by the way, I'm going to be doing a whole lot more research on this, continuing through today into this evening, and hopefully have, something a little bit more definitive. I can tap into some information sources that might prove to be useful, right, insofar as just getting a better sense of maybe what's going on. But my intuition is that if we're getting these machines and we have not yet announced the deployment of the roughly 25 megawatts of end-to-end data center infrastructure, right? Which is, the Bitcoin strong boxes. I'm sort of tripping over the word because evidently the more colloquial term for a strong box is a can. And so I'm trying to kind of like get used to calling them cans. But by the same token, I want to try to use language that we can all, it's relatable, right? If you're reading, disclosure materials, right? I think the reference that's made is to strong boxes, not to cans. But with all of that being said, we have these cans, we've got these transformers, we've got all the infrastructure that would be needed to supply 25 megawatts of power to a data center, including the data center equipment. We didn't get any sort of announcement regarding that today, so I don't think that we are going to announce tomorrow, hey, we've selected a third site for this end-to-end data center equipment. That's where a portion of this new, Bitcoin mining machine, equipment's going to be placed. I sense that this is going to be more of a, hey, let's upgrade, let's high grade some of the equipment we already got in place at Scrubgrass and at Panther Creek. Let's make our existing data centers even more efficient than they already are. So that being said, if roughly 8.5 million of the approximately $15 million that was raised in the most recent private placement is already spoken for, it kind of begs the question, well, yes, there was mention of accelerating the, Carbolith, direct air carbon, capture project. There was some mention of that in the news release associated with the private placement announcement last week. So maybe there's going to be some news with regard to that. There was also, mention of, general working capital purposes, stuff like that. So, listen, I have not been shy in sharing my view that, the direct air, capture project, certainly I think, is like a big deal. It's a differentiated source of revenue. It's a brand new, emerging field that has, I think, not just, subjectively, but objectively, if you just look at it both mathematically and in terms of like the trends that exist in the society we live in, I think the idea of removing as much carbon from the atmosphere as possible is a trend that is going to grow. And there are some very lucrative credits that can be earned by Stronghold Digital Mining by deploying carboliths and capturing carbon. So I'm cautiously optimistic that in addition to continuing to pursue a strategy of driving down our Bitcoin mining costs, which would of course come from just generally lowering costs, containing costs, that would also perhaps come in the form of more efficient Bitcoin mining machines. I think the goal here is to really try to create more of a gross margin. So to the extent we're getting more efficient as an operation, not just with the Bitcoin mining machines, but with our overall approach to cost containment, if that can be one side of the equation, right? If the other side of the equation then is, hey, let's drive those costs down even lower because we're going to earn essentially carbon capture credits, right, as a result of deploying carboliths at Scrubgrass and at Panther Creek. That's going to be really helpful. And listen, at the end of the day, I'm looking at hash prices right now, roughly now about 11.5 cents. That's phenomenal. That is absolutely phenomenal. Price of Bitcoin really kind of shot up, right? We're right near $45,000 a coin. Now, the stock price with about, a little over 3 million shares traded, we're down today. A lot of companies in the publicly traded Bitcoin mining ecosystem are down today. But I'll tell you, I think we really, at this juncture, are making something of a calculated gamble, that we need to sort of approach this from both ends, right? We need to have try to have the most efficient Bitcoin mining machines possible that are in place right now. By the way, the option exists to, I believe, acquire even more Bitcoin mining machines through the end of this year. And these would be Canaan Bitcoin mining machines that would have, I believe, an efficiency close to like 21 joules per terahash. And I believe those machines become available in May of this year. So to the extent there's a desire to drive the efficiency of the fleet to an even better number, I think that option will be there. Apologies for that beep. But that being said, I'm really looking forward to doing some more research and trying to figure out what our data centers could look like after these 5,000 machines are delivered, right? Where are they going to go? And what's going to happen with the Bitcoin mining machines that they are presumably replacing, assuming they're replacing machines that already are in place. Okay, I know that's a bit rambling. I know that I'm kind of all over the place, but it's because I'm trying to process this in real time. There's a lot to unpack with today's announcement. I'm hopeful, right, that the carbon capture project is continuing to show some results that are useful and favorable. I'm continuing to remain excited by the potential that might exist to see some capital allocated to accelerating the carbon capture project. And at the end of the day, let me make something absolutely clear, okay? It's okay to maybe have a little bit of uncertainty about decisions that are being made, right? But I think it's critical that once a decision is made, at least from my perspective, I think it's really, really critical to genuinely and enthusiastically and in an unequivocal manner get behind that decision, support that decision, really strive to do whatever one can to help make that decision be a successful decision. Because at the end of the day, right, our management team is working with far more data than we have at our disposal. I mean, they are quite literally working with, material non-public information, right? I mean, you're like right there. You're seeing all the numbers. You're privy to all the conversations. You're privy to all the data in real time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know what's going on. So one has to have not just faith, but just the confidence to say, you know what, this is the decision that has been made. We're buying 5,000 more Bitcoin mining machines. They are going to be delivered sooner rather than later. They're being purchased ostensibly, one can say, in the spot market, so to speak, right? This isn't a matter of having to wait 6 months to a year for delivery. This is something that's going to happen relatively quickly. One has to have faith and confidence in Frontier Mining and their ability to hyper execute on the plan to swap out whatever machines need to be swapped out, get the new machines up and running. Hey, whether we're overclocking, underclocking, or doing any number of different things to make these machines as efficient as possible, one has to have faith and confidence that that's happening. And we ultimately have to have the belief and the faith that, hey, it's Stronghold Digital Mining. Digital mining is still technically a part of the company's name, right? So we are banking, we are gambling, we are really hoping for hash price. And I know that it's oftentimes been said, hope is not a strategy, but you know what? At the end of the day, if you only have a finite number of revenue inputs, I mean, you kind of have to hope that your core revenue inputs are good, right? In a world where you don't have infinite revenue inputs, you almost have to hope that, hey, I hope hash price is going to be really good. I hope we have some energy prices that are going to be constructive and useful. I hope that we continue to see and have a carbon credit market, right, that is robust and that's lucrative, that we can potentially sell credits into that market. So, yeah, I agree. Hope is not a strategy, but certainly I think there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, if you've got a handful of revenue inputs, you can do everything that you can do to get yourself set up to benefit from those revenue inputs. But if those revenue inputs go to zero or are incredibly bad, that's not going to really be helpful. So one has to, I think, kind of hope for a bit of participation as it relates to the revenue inputs. Otherwise, hey, not just Stronghold Digital Mining, but every publicly traded Bitcoin mining company is going to be in a world of hurt, right? So, okay, there might be another update later today once I sort through more of this data and figure out what's going on. I'm excited. I'm committed. I'm anticipating there being more news regarding the direct air carbon capture project acceleration. I'm anticipating something along those lines sooner rather than later. And I am also anticipating that we are going to have some really good catalysts as it relates to the price of Bitcoin heading into the month of January. If I'm not mistaken, January 10th of this month, right, of this year, the United States Securities and Exchange Commission has the potential to approve a Bitcoin ETF, not just one, but potentially a whole slew of them. And, I've heard people say, oh man, but you got to buy the rumor, sell the fact. Well, the fact of the matter is, if you've got 7 to 10 spot Bitcoin ETFs that suddenly have a bunch of money flowing into them, they have a mandate to go into the market and buy Bitcoin. And that is going to have a material impact, from my perspective, on the price of Bitcoin. So that has the potential then not only to just, I think, reinvigorate the sentiment, right, as it relates to the Bitcoin market generally, but it also has a very, very strong potential to push up hash prices, which are critical to the success of Stronghold Digital Mining. Okay, let's stay positive, let's be great, and we'll see each other either later today or if not, tomorrow.